Services and the European Union project, enabling opportunities for persons with disabilities. It is estimated that 15% of the world's population has a disability. And unfortunately, these individuals tend to have issues in terms of access to employment, ability to rise themselves out of poverty, lower health status, etc. And in 2014, Jamaica would have passed the Disabilities Act, one of the first countries in the world. We have to give ourselves a round of applause for that. And in 2022, the regulations were implemented. But even though we have policy, we must have programmatic interventions, which is why we have this incredible project. Even though we're closing it, but during this time it was incredible, the Enabling Opportunities of Persons with Disabilities project. And I'm really happy to hear about the successes that you would have had, the lessons that you would have learned, and to also look at next steps, because I'm sure we'd want to do more as we go on. So at this time, I will ask everyone just to stand, because we'll be hearing the national anthem of both the European Union and Jamaica. We will begin with the national anthem of the European Union. Now for the playing of the Jamaican national anthem. You may be seated. So today we have some distinguished guests among us. We have the Honorable Norman Dunn, MP, Minister of State in the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. We have Ms. Vanna Lawrence, Program Manager, Delegation of the European Union to Jamaica, Belize, the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos Islands, and the Cayman Islands. The flag is greeting me, I guess. We also have Mrs. Nadine Chambers-Goss, Executive Director for Rise Life Management Services. Mr. John Meeks, Project Manager, Caribbean Christian Center for the Deaf. We have Mr. Richardson. He is the Manager of the Mandeville Financial Center, National Commercial Bank. And we, of course, have you. You think I would forget you? You look surprised. You're all specially invited guests, and together I believe we will have an incredible closing ceremony. But to give you an even more special welcome, I will invite Mr. John Meeks, project manager here at the Caribbean Christian Center for the Deaf. Mr. Meeks doesn't look meek at all.
Is that chastising me for not looking meek? All right. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. All right, so I'll be doing two things. I'll be doing prayer, so I just invite you to just stand where you are, bow your heads, so we can invite the Lord's presence in our midst. Let us pray. Kind Father, we thank you through Jesus for sparing our lives to see a brand new day. Thank you for the rising of the sun, the breath of life within our nostrils, our senses intact. We thank you, Lord, for guidance and protection, for bringing safely here all of us to celebrate our collective efforts in reaching out to those who are in need and doing so successfully. We pray that you'll take charge of the proceedings today, that you will cover us, watch over us, give us your wisdom and your peace and your presence, we ask. In Jesus' name, amen. You may be seated. So quickly, the pleasure and the privilege is mine to welcome one and all to this closeout ceremony this morning. I just want to make mention of the Honorable Norman Dunn, Mrs. Chambers Goss, Miss Vanna Lawrence, and other distinguished guests. Also, I also want to welcome those of the Caribbean Christian Center for the Deaf community. We have students from Knockpatrick. We have the group from Montego Bay, all the way from Montego Bay, joining us. Yes, let's give them applause. And for those of the hearing community, this is how we applause. All right, great. So the privilege is mine to say welcome. We are here today just to celebrate what partnership, collaboration, network, and togetherness achieves. All right, and you will see that today as you will hear the different persons present. Welcome to Cool Cool Mandeville, and you're getting it double cool because the Christmas breeze is in the air, and the perennial Cool Cool Mandeville breeze is in the air, so you're twice lucky. All right, so this is natural AC for those of you coming out of hot Kingston and Montego Bay. Welcome on behalf of the board, the executive director, management, members of staff, and of course the students and those we serve from the Caribbean Christian Center for the Deaf. Specifically, I want to welcome you to the Jamaica Deaf Village, which is one of our 4 campuses of the Caribbean Christian Center for the Deaf. There's another campus, which is about 30 minutes drive, which is the Knockpatrick campus. We house their primary to secondary education students here. We operate a transitional training program for deaf adults and their families. In Montego Bay, we operate the CADE program there in Kingston. At 4 Cassia Park Road, we also have primary and secondary education activities. Again, please feel welcome. Feel the bright warmth of the sun with the cool natural AC of Mandeville, and feel the hugs and the warmth and the fellowship of the Caribbean Christian Center for the Deaf. Thank you very much and have a good day, one and all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Meeks. I like the contrast, the warmth of the sun and the cool air around us. Perfect conditions, I believe, for our closing ceremony this morning. So I'm sure we'd like to hear a little bit more about this project, right? Yes? Yes, of course, because we're here because of that. So I invite Mrs. Nadine Chambers Goss, Executive Director for Rise Life Management Services, to provide us with the project overview. Please make her welcome.
Okay, this is going to make my good morning a little difficult. I really wanted to do justice to the good morning, everyone. No, John gave such a wonderful welcome this morning, and we were speaking the team and we realized we've actually been working with the Caribbean Christian Center for the Deaf for the last, from 2015. And actually, this was also a relationship that was ignited through funding support provided by the European Union under another project. So it truly is a pleasure to be able to be here this morning with you to continue building on that partnership. And, it requires everybody for us to see the kind of change that we need to see as it pertains to persons with disabilities. So I'm quite pleased that everyone made it, whether you are traveling from Kingston here in Mandeville or Montego Bay. I'm glad we are all here this morning. And of course, this project would not have been possible without our many different partners and supporters. First, starting with the European Union, Ms. Vanna Lawrence, Program Manager, Delegation of the European Union to Jamaica, Belize, the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos Islands, and the Cayman Islands. Our public sector partners, represented here today by the Honorable Norman Dunn, MP, Minister of State in the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. And of course, I'm quite pleased that we were joined by Mr. Richardson, who represents our private sector partner, who really, NCB staff members did tremendously well in the sign language component of the project. So Mr. Richardson, welcome to you as well. Now, this morning, we are here to close what has been a wonderful project, which is the enabling opportunities for persons with disabilities. And I believe it is quite fitting for us to be holding this ceremony here at the Jamaica Deaf Village during the observation of Disabilities Awareness Week here locally, which would have started on Sunday, December 3rd, which was the day designated by the United Nations as International Day of Persons with Disabilities. Now, the Enabling Opportunities for Persons with Disabilities project is actually a 24-month project under the European Union's Human Rights Program, which had as its main aims ensuring that persons with disabilities are fully integrated in society, have access to appropriate care and support services, and are recognized and treated as the valuable human resources that they are. Now, RISE was awarded funding for the action in December 2021, which totaled just around 456,000 euros, which is equivalent to about 79 million Jamaican dollars. And through this project, RISE was able to collaborate with key partners, the Caribbean Christian Center for the Deaf being one, of course, as well as the Jamaica Association for Intellectual Disabilities and Abilities Foundation to achieve the following objectives. First, being raise awareness and combat stereotypes regarding persons with disabilities, to increase accessibility for persons with disabilities to public goods and services by providing sign language training to persons from key government entities, as well as to protect persons with disabilities from exploitation, violence, and abuse by providing life skills training and psychosocial support. Key, of course, to all of this is recognizing the right of persons with disabilities to work, which we did by providing skills training that would ultimately lead to employment. Now at CCCD, the participants here had the opportunity to pursue HEART certified training in early childhood education, tractor operation, and baking. Participants at Abilities Foundation would have pursued also HEART certified training, but in carpentry. Now, through the project, RISE was also able to provide very important third-party support or a sub-grant to the Jamaica Association for the Deaf, whose interventions helped to amplify the project's reach and impact through the development of a virtual information desk, which served to improve parenting skills of persons with deaf children, and also through their provision of work readiness training for deaf women. The EOPD action also provided support to the recently incorporated Civil Society Network of Jamaica, which is comprised of several members committed to supporting awareness building and advocacy activities on the rights and values of persons with disabilities. In total, over 300 persons would have benefited directly from the various components of the EOPD action. Now, there is no understating the need for collective support to ensure the full social and economic inclusion of persons with disabilities. Even as RISE worked with the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities to promote the key elements of the Disabilities Act, which came into force last February, we recognize the power of persons with disabilities being able to tell their own story and to advocate for themselves. I therefore now close by inviting you to enjoy 4 short videos where persons with disabilities will share a bit of their story and their aspirations. Thank you.
It took me forever to get a job, even with my bachelor's degree, because I am visually impaired.
Under the Disabilities Act, employers must make reasonable accommodations for blind and visually impaired employees.
Hire us and watch your productivity go up.
Get to know the act.
Learn about the Disabilities Act at risejamaica.org.
People don't believe that you can have deaf dancers. But once we can communicate in Jamaican Sign Language, we're unstoppable, man.
Come on, you two. You can do better. Start again.
Get to know the act.
Learn about the Disabilities Act at risejamaica.org.
My name is Always Pauline. I am a volleyball player and a farmer.
I'm really thrilled about the Disabilities Act because it protects the rights of all persons with intellectual and other developmental disabilities.
It's like Orville.
I am unstoppable.
Get to know the act.
Learn about the Disabilities Act at risejamaica.org.
I am a data entry clerk and I like to be independent. It's annoying asking for help because the doorway is too small and there is no ramp. Now the Disabilities Act protects my right to access.
Get to know the act.
Learn about the Disabilities Act at risejamaica.org.
Round of applause, please. As mentioned by Mrs. Chambers-Goss, any initiative that we have to support persons with disabilities must be one of collaboration. We agree, right? Yes. And so, I think one of our key partners, if not our key partner here, the European Union, I think it is ideal that they'll be bringing greetings next, right after the project overview, to see how it is that Rise Life Management have been able to work with them to have this project implemented successfully, and now we're at a close. So I invite Ms. Vanna Lawrence, Program Manager for Delegation of the European Union, to Jamaica, Belize, the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos Islands, and the Cayman Islands. Ms. Lawrence.
Thank you very much, Christina. I'm personally happy to be here, and I'm so happy to have found my way here because it was an interesting journey. The last stop I made to ask for directions was at the police station. There were 6 police officers, and there were 3 different opinions on how I should get here. So it was an adventure, and I'm very happy to have made it. Dr. the Honorable Norman Dunn, Minister of State, Ministry of Labor and Social Security, Mrs. Nadine Chambers-Goss, Executive Director, Rise Life Management Services, Mr. John Meeks, Project Manager at Caribbean Christian Center for the Deaf, Mr. Lloyd Richardson, representing NCB in Mandeville, other distinguished ladies and gentlemen, partners, participants, beneficiaries, good morning. I bring you greetings on behalf of Ambassador Marian Van Steen, who would have loved to be here sharing with you today. In the opening sentences on the matter of disability, the World Health Organization states that disability is weak. Today, I share in the pleasure of highlighting the work of Rise Life Management Services as they encourage us to join the advocacy for a change in deeply rooted mechanisms and mindsets, and to promote an environment of inclusivity, respect, and dignity for persons with disabilities. Embracing disability inclusion requires a fundamental shift in mindset from concepts of accommodation towards creating an environment where every person, regardless of ability, is valued and empowered. This means creating learning environments where learners of all abilities can engage and thrive together while experiencing a sense of belonging. It also means creating employment opportunities that accommodate and leverage the diverse skills and perspectives of all individuals, recognizing the untapped potential of persons with disabilities. Moreover, we must go beyond physical accessibility and address attitudinal barriers, promoting a culture of respect, understanding, and empathy. This project has addressed many of the elements mentioned and has demonstrated significant results that have touched the lives of persons with disabilities. From training 180 key service providers in the police, fire services, judicial services, and the banks to communicate with the deaf, to creating a functional, registered CSO network of practitioners to provide services, also providing educational and vocational training opportunities to 70 deaf persons, to managing a national communication campaign, educating Jamaica on the rights of persons with disabilities, and also providing financial support to smaller entities, which led to the empowerment of 20 deaf women through work readiness training and placement, life skill training of over 100 deaf participants across the island, and psychosocial support for 30 deaf women who have been victims of gender-based violence. An event such as this can only mention the activities that have been undertaken, but the impact on beneficiaries, such as yourselves, the families, and the communities of which they can now become a key part, will tell a greater story of inclusiveness, sustainability, accessibility, and feelings of having not been left behind. We at the EU, therefore, are pleased to have supported the actions of this project as it contributes to assisting the government of Jamaica through CSO action to meet its obligations under the Disabilities Act on behalf of Jamaicans living with disabilities. We acknowledge that in the face of multiple and intersecting needs, many vulnerable persons find themselves left behind. It is our hope, therefore, that the actions of this project have influenced the lives of approximately 2.7% of Jamaicans that suffer hearing loss, and further influence the levels of societal support for the inclusion of all persons living with disabilities. It is indeed an imperative for all of us, as members of this society, to become champions for disability inclusion. We must use whatever influence we bring to our various roles to ensure that the world that we are helping to shape will embrace the inherent value and potential of every human being. I therefore encourage the various stakeholders of this project and every person who is present here today to continue to seek equal opportunities for disabled Jamaicans. I further encourage Rise Life to continue your actions in support of disabled Jamaicans and other vulnerable groups in your stellar service to human development in Jamaica. Thank you.
For those who clap, I think a more rowdy round of applause, and we can as well, please. Because it's only through this partnership we would have been able to have this project successfully implemented. So we must. That deserves, I guess, greater endorsement. So I would like to make mention of the fact that we're streaming live today. We're streaming on YouTube as well as on Instagram. I just want to wave to the persons who are joining us live on YouTube and Instagram. And we're also live on Nationwide 90 FM. If you look across to my left, not good at directions, to my left, you may see the distinguished Cliff Hughes right there. So we are streaming live on Nationwide 90 FM. So our message is going out wide and far today across the airwaves of Jamaica. And we're talking about airwaves. I think it's a perfect time for us to have a little entertainment. Don't you agree? Yes, man. We have all the speeches that are important, but it's also good to have a little entertainment. So at this time, we have an item, a musical item from the Genesis Academy, and I want you to make them feel welcome, please. Make them feel welcome. Okay. We wait until the end. We wait until the end. All right. Thank you. Another round of applause, please. May I have some help here at the front to have the chairs removed? Thank you so much. Yes. Mr. Meeks. Went that way. All right. I see we all enjoyed that. Do we remember those folk songs? Well, I grew up in Portland with my grandmother, so I know those songs. Donkey One What, to All Him Joe, I definitely know those songs. And I saw Minister really enjoying it. You're from St. Mary, you're my neighbor right there. Okay, good. All right. So I want to make special mention of Susan Hamilton. I know she's currently in an interview. She's the director of the Abilities Foundation. So we do have a nice family gathering here this morning. We mentioned private sector with NCB. We mentioned European Union, and of course we have Rise Life. But government is also an important partner with any initiative that targets persons with disabilities. So at this time, we invite the Honorable Norman Dunn, MP, Minister of State in the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. Minister Dunn.
Thank you very much, Miss Christina Williams. And before going to the salutations, I really want to give Christina a round of applause because it's so important for us to involve and include our youth leaders and youths in particular in all that we do. They say the youth is there? No, I think they're for now. So give her a round of applause, please. And she has been doing a good job, right? So yes, I'm from St. Mary. So I like when I'm introduced, I said, Member of Parliament from Southeast St. Mary. I don't like that part. Leave off, you know? Because I'm so proud of my parish. Very proud of my... You're from St. Mary too? Very good, very good. But we like our neighbors, you know? And the neighbors is not just Portland, but all of Jamaica. You know, but St. Mary is a special place. Of course, I'd like to recognize Mr. Meeks, Nadine, of course, Chambers, Goss, and our friend from the European Union, Miss Vanna Lawrence. But I also want to say, Vanna, that I shared your pain this morning. Because when we were coming as well, I think we got lost about twice. Just trying to reach here, depending on Google, of course. You know, Google is not always very correct. But I must say, it's a pleasure to be here because the first time I'm actually coming to this region. I also like to recognize the persons from the Abilities Foundation, team from the NCB, members of the Caribbean Christian Center for the Deaf, students, and other supporters here. Good morning. Also like to recognize, of course, I tell you, one of my favorite radio stations nationwide. Them hearing? Nationwide. But I realized that you also wanted some more entertainment. So I was wondering if I could have taken the drum and tried to do it myself. But I don't think I'll be as good as these guys, right? I don't think so. So it's an honor to stand before you today as we gather to celebrate the closing ceremony of Enabling Opportunities for Persons with Disability Project. This initiative has been a great demonstration of the power of inclusivity and a showcase of what can be achieved when we collectively strive for a society that values and uplifts every individual. And I pause here because since joining the Ministry of Labor and Social Security and having a responsibility of this particular area, you know, my heart has been warmed with the fact that just like the European Union, just like NCB, just like the Abilities Foundation, and others, I believe we are in fact a caring society. Irrespective of what you see go on from time to time, and you hear what goes on from time to time. Because since being in this portfolio, I realize the amount of opportunities that are available for persons to feel inclusive. Inclusive. It's not enough, but we are on a steady path, I believe. And yesterday, I made mention to an incident that I saw on Saturday. On Saturday, I was heading to Old Harbor. And when I reached almost where NCB is and the clock is in Old Harbor, there was a little traffic. And I was going down in the traffic. And lo and behold, I saw a gentleman with a cane trying to cross the road. And I was edging down to reach close to him so I could just stop my car in the middle of the road and they come out and assist him across the road. Because I know persons would eventually stop behind me. But then I saw a young girl walk straight up to him and took him by the hand and led him across the road. And I felt good. And I felt good. And that's why I can say that I believe there's so much good amongst us, irrespective of what you hear. And sometimes we concentrate too much on the bad. And we hear all these news and this bad news, and it appears as if that is what makes news. But what about the good that should make news? Her action, I believe, should make news. The work of the Abilities Foundation should make news. These are the things that I believe that we should try and concentrate on because it becomes contagious eventually. And other people will eventually fall into place. You always hear the saying that when Jamaicans are here, they perform and sometimes they behave a particular way. But when they travel and they go to some other countries, they are the best at what they do. And therefore, if we continue to raise the awareness and to let good shine, then I believe it will eventually rub off on many persons. And that will become the society that we really want. So as we reflect on the success of this particular project, it is essential to acknowledge the significant role played by the Jamaican government and the Ministry of Labor and Social Security in fostering social and economic inclusion for all persons with disabilities. Over the years, Jamaica has witnessed a transformative journey in recognizing the rights of persons with disabilities by aligning the policies and legislation with international frameworks such as the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, a commitment solidified in 2007. One of the cornerstones of this obligation is the Disabilities Act of 2014, which as of 2022 stands as a comprehensive legal framework safeguarding the rights of persons with disabilities in Jamaica. And it was mentioned, I believe, by Christina, that Jamaica, literally in the Caribbean, is the first and possibly only country that has the Disabilities Act. Jamaica. So, covering areas such as accessibility, education, employment, support services, this act highlights our dedication to creating an inclusive and supportive environment for our people. In tandem with the Disabilities Act, the national policy for persons with disability underscores the government's duty to promote the full inclusion and participation of persons with disability in every facet of our national development. We want to include everyone, and we will not leave anyone behind. So access to education has been a critical component of this journey, with the Ministry of Education implementing policies and programs to ensure that children with disabilities enjoy equal access to quality education, including the establishment of special education units within our mainstream schools. So it's not about segregating them. It's about including them in our mainstream schools. In addition, the National Education Trust, which seeks to advance education in Jamaica, has built schools that caters to the specific needs of our children with disabilities. So our efforts extend beyond education to employment and economic inclusion. The government, through initiatives of Heart and STA Trust, has championed vocational training and job placement services, promoting inclusive hiring practices amongst our employees and our employers, In terms of skill training and development, there are special requirements in place for persons with disabilities as they receive preferential admission where their age and qualifications are concerned. With the skill honed from these programs, they are subsequently included in so many areas to ensure that they gain internship and employment opportunities, which further promote educational and social and economic independence. That is what we want. And we saw in the video here where the young lady said that she wants her independence. Because sometimes we believe that persons with disabilities, they are about handout or they want to be helped. No, they want their own independence. So central to this transformative journey is the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities, or known as JCPD, the chief organization dedicated to addressing the needs of persons with disabilities. The Council's mandate centers on implementation of policies and programs that not only protect the rights of persons with disabilities, but also facilitate their educational and social and economic development. Empowering independence is the heart of our mission at JCPD, provision of economic empowerment, grants for operating small and micro businesses exemplifies our obligation to foster self-sufficiency, self-reliance amongst persons with disability. Our journey towards inclusion extends beyond the policies and reach into the very core of our communities. Partnering with the Bureau of Standards, the JCPD has adopted an accessible checklist as a part of our sensitization initiative. And yesterday, we had the pleasure of launching that accessibility checklist. This serves as a call to raise public awareness of the structural changes necessary for accessibility and inclusion. In adherence to the Disabilities Act, strides have been made to enhance physical accessibility in public spaces, communication and information access, as well as buildings and transportation systems. The mandate for public and private sector entities is to ensure facilities are in fact accessible, including the installation of ramps, elevators, and accessible websites, and add volumes to our plight of a more inclusive society. So as we stand together, ladies and gentlemen, here today, it is noteworthy that the JCPD is actually celebrating Disabilities Week this week. Various events, including a church service, the launch of the accessibility checklist, the National Disability Sensitization Sessions, expos, and more are being held under the theme Inclusion in Action, Building Accessible Communities to Spread Awareness, Acceptability, and of course, inclusion. So as we celebrate the accomplishment of RISE Life Management Services and the European Union, along with the diligent efforts made by the government of Jamaica in championing the rights of persons with disabilities, let us not for a moment forget that our journey is ongoing. It is a collective effort, a shared responsibility to build accessible communities everywhere and for every person, regardless of their abilities. They can in fact thrive and contribute to a meaningful Jamaica, to a shared goal and growth, and of course, prosperity. I want to thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank Rise Life International, the European Union, not international yet, Rise Life, okay, Rise Life, and of course, the Caribbean Christian Center for the Deaf for participating in this particular project and to assist in raising awareness for a disabled community, one that we love dearly and one that we want to ensure they are inclusive in all that we do. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Minister Dunn. And I will mention MP for Southeast St. Mary. I know he wanted me to mention that specifically. And he mentioned in his presentation the accessibility checklist. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that will be used by different stakeholders across Jamaica. I hope my counterparts are ready, because we do have a few more videos we would like to share. I think we are. So we'd like to share a little bit more about the project. And so we'd love for you to train your eye to the screen behind me, and we'll move the podium again. Thank you.
Rise Life Management Services, enabling opportunities for persons with disabilities, funded by the EU.
Hi, my name is Amanda. Anderson. This is my sign name. I'm deaf. So I have an experience to share with you. I went to a hearing private high school. At the time, I was really excited to go to the school. I was so excited. But my first day in the classroom, it was a small classroom, similar to the deaf schools. But there was no interpreter. I thought an interpreter would be readily available, but there was none. They said that I had to pay for myself, so my parents had to pay for that. And the school fee was very expensive. So I had to pay the school fee, and then the cost of the interpreter was about 10 times the amount of the school fee for the semester. It was a sad experience. I was the only one who was deaf and who could sign at that institution. And of course, they insulted me a lot. They kept asking how, why. They kept asking me if I was insulted, if I'm going to kill myself. And I was like, really? Why would they feel that way? And I decided just to focus on my schoolwork. And thank God I finished school. As a deaf woman, I was a part of a gender-based violence project. And when that was established, I was really excited. A high percentage of deaf women do face domestic violence. It's impacted our community before COVID and even more so after COVID. We learned karate, we learned how to contact the different agencies when help is needed, police station, etc. If something happened, how and who we can contact. That's something that we learned. How do I cope? How do I survive? It's really through my family, my mother, the deaf community. Sometimes there are days when I'm down, sometimes there are days when I'm up, but I've been through a lot of suffering, but I'm still living and surviving. And that's because of my support system. I get a lot of support from deaf community and family. Normally, as a deaf woman or as a deaf person, you go to the police station and you try to report it. There's no communication access. There's no interpreter. And if I need an interpreter, I have to pay for that interpreter. Sometimes the police gives a little attitude. Sometimes they take advantage of the situation. Sometimes they reject you. So it just doesn't make sense to report. The Disabilities Act was launched in February 14, gazetted 2022. We're happy about it. We know it's not perfect. We know that it's still a work in progress. One of the things that we really want is Jamaican Sign Language to become an official language. We expect, the deaf community expects you guys to treat us as humans, not indifferent or like we're not valued anything. We're humans and we need respect. As a deaf person, we have the Disabilities Act now. So we can make a difference, we can make changes. Back in the past, we used to suffer, we used to accept everything, but now is the time to stand up and advocate and speak up. And if we have to go out there and march, we have to do it for change. We need to stand up and speak up. whatever experiences you're having that you need to speak about, you need to speak about it so that they'll recognize us. Deaf people, we can do anything. Together, we're unstoppable.
And here she is. She's waving. You like to come and... Well, I just wanted you to stand here beside me so that they could give you a proper round for your braveness. Thank you. All right. I think we have another video. Yes.
Rise Life Management Services, enabling opportunities for persons with disabilities, funded by the EU.
Hi, I'm Amorel, and I'm a branch accounts associate at the NCB Mandeville branch. I recently took part in the Rise Life Sign Up Jamaica program. Over the years, we have had customers coming in who are not able to communicate as how they would because they are deaf. I've always wanted to learn sign language, and I was more than happy, more than willing to be a part of this program. Initially, when I started the course, I thought it was going to be very hard. And Andre, our instructor, is not a hearing person, he's deaf. And to my surprise, he came across to us as if he was actually verbally talking to us. He made it so easy for us, both in sign language and when it is that we're getting it a little bit difficult, he would type in our chat. So it's pretty easy to do, and I would encourage anyone who's interested to do so. My greatest takeaway, I recall from our very first session with Andre, him saying that, communication is key. However, if two deaf persons are talking and somebody who hears is there, the person hearing is disabled because he has no clue what the two persons are saying, the two deaf persons. So that would make me, I'm putting myself in the situation, that would make me this disabled person. So disability for me is in the eyes of the beholder. In addition to that, I would love to say that the Disabilities Act is here. It's not going anywhere, it's not going away, which means that we all need to embrace inclusivity.
All right, so we'd like to thank at this time Minister Dunn for being here with us this morning, and we wish you safe travels back to Kingston or St. Mary? Parliament, okay, no problem. Take care, Minister. So you'd have heard I would let them do what they do best. Thank you again. So during the project overview by Mrs. Chambers Goss, Executive Director from Rise Life, including the greetings from Ms. Vanna Lawrence from the EU, you'd have heard that a number of trainings would have happened, or a number of trainings happened in terms of training in early childhood education, tractor operations, baking, as well as sign language. So this morning, we're still in morning, right? We're still in the morning zone? Okay, good. This morning, we will be awarding a number of our graduates from this program. And we will begin with the deaf persons trained in early childhood education. And I'm going to ask Ms. Vanna Lawrence from the European Union to assist me here with these certificates. Now, everyone may not be here, but for those that are here, we'd invite you to join us at the front as individuals and receive your certificate and your photo opportunity with Ms. Lawrence from the European Union. So, Peter Dwyer? Yes, Peter is here. All right. Dominique McIntyre. Dominique McIntyre. What's here? All right. Oral Daly. Oral Daly. Davion Weber. Davion Weber. Everton Scaife. Thank you for that. Everton Scaife. O'Neill Parsons. O'Neill Parsons. Kishan Phillips. Kishan Phillips. Christopher Civil. Christopher Civil. Yolanda Parrish. Yolanda Parrish. Bovia McLean. Bovia McLean. Okay. Bonivia Darmond. Bonivia Darmond. Cadia Williams Buckley. Cadia Williams Buckley. Vivian Brown. Marissa Phillips. Marissa Phillips. All right, so those were our graduates for the Early Childhood Education Program. Let's just give them a round of applause even in their absence. And I'm still going to have you stay, Ms. Lawrence. Marissa Phillips. Monica Mullins. All right, so for these certificates, we are awarding the graduates of the Tractor Operations Program. Who in here can drive tractor? Well, you can't even drive car. My. So imagine moving to a tractor. So this program, I think, is quite unique. I invite Jerome Pindlin. Jerome Pindlin. All right. Letshawn Donaldson. Oh, you're coming, Jerome. I didn't see. Sorry. Another round of applause for Jerome. I didn't see him come in. Letshawn Donaldson. Letshawn Donaldson. Letshawn is coming. Alex McDonald. Alex McDonald. All right, Alexis, come in. Sheldon Mackenzie. Sheldon Mackenzie. Okay. Richard Sprague. Richard Sprague. Cressmore Fletcher. Cressmore Fletcher. So I heard he's in the kitchen at the moment, so hopefully he'll get his certificate. All right, so we'll be back. Damian Campbell. Damian Campbell. Okay, I think he's saying that he's not here at the moment. Triana Robinson. All right. I love this. Tractor operations. Listen. All right. Dean Roy Barnaby. Dean Roy Barnaby. Dean Roy Barnaby. So I heard that Chris Moore is now here from the kitchen. Chris Moore. And no, he's helping us prepare a nice meal for refreshment. So we're happy to have him now. Paris Guthrie. Paris Guthrie. I wonder if I can ask to get some training in tractor operations too. Since, I'm a part of the family now. Kimberly Simpson. Kimberly Simpson. Justin Smith. Justin Smith. Seymour Ladeford. Seymour Ladeford. And I see someone who may be my brother. Shavando Williams. Shavando Williams. All right, let's round of applause for Shavando. All right, Joshua Lyons. Joshua. Joshua has a lot of fans. They're smiling. Tyreek Lewis. Tyreek Lewis. Woo! All right. Kelob Hines. Kelob Hines. All right. Kelob. All right. Dominique Brown. Dominique Brown. That's DA. Audia Bennett. Audia Bennett. Roseanne Senior. Roseanne Senior. Not here today, all right? We award her in her absence. Damian Sapleton. Damian Sapleton. Damian Sapleton. Kevin Witter. Kevin Witter? Not here. All right. And Monica, we did find your certificate, but it still needs to be, we'll be give it another time, Miss Mullins. This is right here. So thank you so much, Miss Lawrence. You may be seated. And that would have concluded the two sections for tractor operations as well as for early childhood. All right, so we have another video just before we
Under the Disabilities Act, access is unstoppable. Access in and out of premises without distress. Access to your rightful benefits and no less. Access to information with your kind of communication. Get on the act. At risejamaica.org, project funded by the EU. Under the Disabilities Act, accommodation is unstoppable. If you find somewhere to rent but your disability need more accommodation, ask your landlord to make the changes. So long as they're not too hard, the Act protect you in that regard. Get on the act. At risejamaica.org, project funded by the EU. Under the Disabilities Act, education is unstoppable. To unlock your capability as a person with a disability, you have a right to an educational facility with reasonable accommodation for your adaptability. At risejamaica.org, project funded by the EU.
Under the Disabilities Act, employment is unstoppable. No discrimination. I saw the act said equal opportunity, even with your disability. From you can do the work same way, you have a right to your pay there.
At risejamaica.org, project funded by the EU.
Under the Disabilities Act, healthcare is unstoppable. If you have a disability, healthcare is a necessity. So make sure you get good service with no prejudice. The Act is your safeguard to get care with high standards.
At risejamaica.org, project funded by the EU. Under
All right, thank you. Now they say hard workers only get rewarded with more work. So, Ms. Sternbergas, I know you just finished an interview, but we're asking you kindly to join us on stage for this section of the certificates. Now, this program, I'm very excited about it because, you know, it's Christmas time and everybody loves Christmas cake, right? So what program is this? Baking, right? So I really hope one of these graduates can prepare a nice little Christmas cake for me. I love man with a lot of... I did not say it. I did not say it. I will invite first Shante Richard. Shante Richard. Not here? All right. She's here. Shante Richard. Someone signal to her. Oh, it's her. All right. All right. Okay. Mikey Thompson. Mikey Thompson. Let's just give Mikey a little minute. She will come. So it's Mickey. Mickey Thompson. My apologies. Mickey Thompson. All right, so I think there was a little mix up, and that's fine. We'll have her come again. Nothing wrong, she gets awarded twice. Nothing is wrong. Nothing is wrong. It's okay. We'll do it again. Ramoy Barracks. Ramoy Barracks. That's Ramoy. All right. That's Ramoy. Ramoy. Not here. All right. Natalie Kalaman. Natalie Kalaman. All right. Omario Jackson. Omario Jackson. So Mario isn't here. Ricardo Thompson. So Ricardo is coming. And when he gets here, you know, we'll round, we give him his applause. So Ricardo is coming. Kayan Lewis. And that is spelled Kyan, just in case I'm not pronouncing it properly. Or Kyan. Kayan. All right, so Kayan Lewis. Please don't have me up over the mispronunciation of the names, right? Only love? Yes, thank you. Makes sense. Makes sense. You see, we're all learning here today. Victoria Reed. All right. O'Shane Powell. O'Shane look like a bad baker for you, you know. See, mega asking about my cake. Round of applause, sir. Yeah, man, I'm serious about him baking. Shanice Walker. Absent. All right. Kyla Cutlass. 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 All right. Kyla Cutlass. Beautiful smile. Tisania Tomlinson. Tisania Tomlinson. Juliet Mitchell. Gilpin Nicolica Gilpin. Nicolica Gilpin. All right. I'm definitely learning some names, so when it's my time to name my child. Janelle Farquharson. Janelle Farquharson. All right. Amanada Anderson. Amanada Anderson. I think there is maybe an extra A. Okay. There's another A. Any issues, we'll correct it. Don't worry about it. Just want to make sure you get your photo today. All right. Latwana Bernard. Latwana Bernard. No, not here. Chanel Morris. Erica Barrett. Erica Barrett. Colleen Brown. Colleen Brown. Round of applause, please. Applause for Erica. For Colleen. Colleen, sorry. Just remembered Erica from before. Narda Anderson. Narda Anderson. Not here. All right. Thank you so much, Executive Director. That completed the section for baking, and we congratulate all the persons who are here as well as those in absence.
Under the Disabilities Act, access is unstoppable. Access in and out of premises without distress. Access to your rightful benefits and no less. Access to information with your kind of communication. Getting on the act. At risejamaica.org, project funded by the EU. Under the Disabilities Act, accommodation is unstoppable. If you find somewhere to rent but your disability need more accommodation, ask your landlord to make the changes. So long as they're not too hard, the Act protect you in that regard. Getting on the act. At risejamaica.org, project funded by the EU. Under the Disabilities Act, education is unstoppable. To unlock your capability as a person with a disability, you have a right to an educational facility with reasonable accommodation for your adaptability. At risejamaica.org, project funded by the EU.
Under the Disabilities Act, employment is unstoppable. No discrimination. I saw the act said equal opportunity, even with your disability. From you can do the work same way, you have a right to your pay there. Getting on the act.
At risejamaica.org, project funded by the EU.
Under the Disabilities Act, healthcare is unstoppable. If you have a disability, healthcare is a necessity. So make sure you get good service with no prejudice. The Act is your safeguard to get care with high standards.
Getting on the act. At risejamaica.org, project funded by the EU. Under
All right, so this is our final certificate group. It's for the successful completion of the Jamaican Sign Language Level 3. And these students would have demonstrated proficiency in the knowledge of basic translation skills and understands the structure of the Jamaican Sign Language by expression in conversation. So an important skill. I'm going to invite Mr. Lloyd Richardson, manager of the Mandeville Financial Center for the National Commercial Bank, to join me here on stage. Thank you. I think you're going to ask you to stay a little bit more in the middle based on what they have been saying earlier. All right. And I will invite Sandrine Scarlett and Keisha Patrick, who will receive the award for themselves as well as on behalf of Keisha Patrick Harrison. It's important to note the Harrison as well. I love it. Sandrine Scarlett, Keisha Patrick Harrison. So you may join Mr. Richardson there, and you will receive the awards on behalf of yourself as well as the other graduates who are not here today. So you may hold this, and we're taking it as a group photo. Yes. It's a family, just come closer. Yes. All right, thank you so much, Mr. Richardson, as well as Miss Scarlett and Mrs. Patrick Harrison. She loves it, you know. She's like, all right. All right. I think I probably should move back into the middle, but probably not, because at this time we're going to re-invite Genesis Academy. They'll be bringing the final musical item for this morning. Just reminding everyone to ensure that you have signed the register before you leave. The register is over there. I think it's a white table. And I think my very talented guest will need this microphone.
Ska, ska, ska. Jamaican ska. Ska, ska, ska. Jamaican ska. Not everybody can cha-cha-cha. Not everybody can do the twist. But everybody can do the ska. It's the new dance we can't resist. Ska, ska, ska. Jamaican ska. Ska, ska, ska. Jamaican ska. Not everybody can cha-cha-cha. Not everybody can do the twist. But everybody can do the ska. It's the new dance you can't resist. Ska, ska, ska. Not everybody can cha-cha-cha. Not everybody can do the twist. But everybody can do the ska. It's the new dance you can't resist. Ska, ska, ska.
Thank you so much. Another round of applause, please. Ska, ska, ska. Who here can ska? Of course, Miss Lawrence, but any of the younger ones can ska? Yeah, no? You know, a lot of these new dances that we have, they are influenced by those original dances. So if you learn the basics of like a scam, I'm sure you can do the other dances that they have right now. Like Lego the bird, right? What Mr. McGregor know about Lego the bird? I don't understand. You know more about it than me. All right. Well, they say all good things. No, not to an end. They must pause. Not an end. All good things must pause. Uh, Today was wonderful. Who agrees with me? It's wonderful. We had great weather, but we also had great vibes, great energy, right? And I think it signals how it is that we would have been able to achieve this particular program, enabling opportunities for persons with disabilities. Because different stakeholders, the European Union, Rise Life Management, and of course government partners, etc., would have come together and said, we feel that it is necessary for us to have this project to impact the lives of persons with disabilities, particularly persons from the deaf community, by having this project. And they would have trained persons in early childhood education, tractor operations, baking, and sign language. And what I loved was that for each program, there were persons, there were young women, there were young men, there were also older individuals as well. So we're seeing that we are boosting different individuals across the different generations and as well as both genders to ensure that we impact the lives positive, not just of the persons here, but of their families and their communities. Because when we do these kind of projects, not just about who we impact in the moment, but how do we create a long-lasting movement. And that's what I hope we will achieve this afternoon and beyond. So ladies and gentlemen, it was my absolute pleasure being your mistress of ceremonies this morning. But before I exit, I must once again big up. We won't even say thank, big up, because we're Jamaicans, right? I want to big up our stakeholders once more. Of course, we have to big up First Rise Life Management. We have to big them up, man. Brainchild, their brainchild. Miss Vanna Lawrence from the European Union, and of course the entire European Union staff, and Ambassador Van Steen, who wasn't able to make it today. The Caribbean Christian Center for the Deaf, Mr. John Meeks represented here today, but of course we know that the partnership is bigger than just Mr. Meeks. We also have from the Abilities Foundation, Miss Hamilton, is she here now? She came up, oh, she's right there. I know you did an interview earlier. Thank you for being here, Miss Hamilton. And of course, Mr. Richardson from the Mandeville Financial Center for NCB. We see how it is important that we have private sector, we have non-governmental organizations, we have intergovernmental organizations like the European Union, we have government, we had Minister of State for Labor and Social Security who was here earlier, Honorable Norman Dunn who left. But of course, we see that we need to have that collaboration across the board. So it feels good for me too, Madam Margaret, and I also want to big up Miss Mace, please. Stand up, we must give a round of applause, please. It was last year that she invited me to host the launch of the media campaign that they had. And when she reached out to me recently and said, I want you to come and close off the ceremony for us, I was like, really, Miss, you remember me? You have me come again? So thank you so much for having me be a part of the family. I consider myself a part of the family at this time. So I think it's good that we have rounded out the project, and despite the project being ended, I know you will continue to do well under the leadership of Mrs. Chambers Goss, Executive Director of Rise Life Management. Thank you all for coming out this morning. There will be refreshments provided shortly, but as we like to say, walk good, drive good, and thank you all for making our closing ceremony a success. Thank you. So at this time, if anyone wants to have any photo opportunities, making use of the banner, the flags, please do so. Yes. All right. And Mr. McGregor, project manager for Rise Life,